welcome. I'm Krista Gibson, the host of Keeping It Real, and with me today is Reverend Judith Laxer. Hello, Judith.
Hi, Krista. Thanks for having me on again.
Absolutely. And Judith is helping us with each one of the seasonal changes, talking about the spirituality of it and what's involved and how the whole season, how we can use it for our spiritual process and growth. And today we're talking about the summer solstice of 2018. So Judith, take it away and tell us about this season.
Okay, good. So just for that larger context and a bit of a reminder, in pagan spirituality or earth-based spirituality, we follow what we call the Wheel of the Year, which is that cyclical model for the passing of time. And that's how we track the seasons. And as you said, we track them in a spiritual way. Right. So by tracking the seasons, we know automatically that we are following what takes place because of the sun and our relationship to the sun as we orbit around him in the center of our galaxy. And as you can see, I said as we orbit around him.
Yes.
And so in pagan theology, the sun is the divine masculine and the moon is the divine feminine. And so when we're honoring what we call the Sabbaths, which are those 8 holy points on the Wheel of the Year, those natural earth holidays, we are honoring the divine masculine. And at the summer solstice, that divine masculine aspect, which we refer to as the sun king or the sun god, is at his peak of power. So the summer solstice holds the polarity to the winter solstice on the Wheel of the Year. And the word solstice means, or used to mean anyway, or it's derived from the Latin meaning sun stop. And it's called the solstice because it's such an extreme time of the year. At the winter solstice, which is the longest night of the year, it appeared as if the sun would never return. You know, it was dark by 4:30 and, you know, the sun didn't come up until 8. And in the summer solstice, it's the longest day of the year. So the sun rises very early and it sets very late, and we experience the longest day of the entire solar year. So the themes that we look at during the season of summer, during the whole season of summer, but particularly on the summer solstice, are themes of longevity, radiance, strength, activeness, you know, being active, right? This is the season for that. The sun comes out, it fills us with vitamin D, we are energized, we're happier, and we're way more active at this time of year. Right. So those are just kind of the general themes about the season. And I think they're important to keep in mind also because so often our experience of the seasons are really about the weather and how the weather changes. So we know it's autumn and winter because we're wearing more clothes, and we know it's summer and spring because we're taking off our jackets and wearing shorts. But there's so much more to it. And I think particularly at this time of great climate change, we can't really rely on the weather. We really have to track the light. And so the longest day really talks about that period of time that is the longest daylight. And then that begs the question, what are we going to do in this active, radiant time of the summer and the summer solstice? And so it was interesting. I was just at the Midwest Women's Herbal Gathering, and I was teaching a class on the Wheel of the Year. And, you know, I was talking about how originally the school ended in the summer.
Right.
And that was because the children were needed for the busy, active time on the farm.
Right.
Needed to help out. Now what happened in our industrial society, where we can just go to the grocery store and get all of our food and not have to really think very much about it. Now summertime is vacation time. That's completely opposite to what it originally was when we followed the natural earth cycles, and we're living so much more closely to the earth. So now we take summer vacations, and in the winter, when we should be resting, like the earth is resting, we head into the busiest social time of the season. So we can see it's really gotten very...
Yep.
It's not healthy. It's not good, really, for us. I don't think at all.
Right.
So I find that walking the wheel this way very consciously brings me back more closely aligned with nature. And of course, as a nature lover, that makes me very happy.
Right.
But it also helps me understand like the whole life cycle in a larger spiritual context.
Mm-hmm.
So I have some examples of things that can be done on the summer solstice specifically, but also to think about things that you can do during this whole season of active radiance. And so one is a very common or popular thing to do at the winter solstice is to hold vigil all night long until the sun is born the next morning, right, at dawn. So another thing you could do at the summer solstice is to get up before the sun rises and to stay awake until long after it sets. So that at the winter solstice, you're really allowing yourself to experience the length of night and to be with the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Summer solstice, you do the opposite. You have a very short night. You get up early and you spend a very long day resting in the light.
Right.
It's funny, just the other night, I was, starting to feel my eyes starting to droop and it was time to go to bed. Of course, I'd had a very busy day. And I just looked at the clock and it was 20 of 10 and it was still twilight outside.
I know.
I could see my garden perfectly well outside.
Right.
So we really kind of track the light to understand, what that means. And then when we look at what light means to us spiritually, that also gives us something else to take a look at about the kind of actions we can take and how we can be in this season of summer. So we say that the Sun King reaches his peak of power on the summer solstice. And high noon on the summer solstice is that exact moment of the peak of the solar year. So any sort of intentions that you're working on, and magic that you want to do, any manifestation that you want to bring into your life, this is the time to go for it. Because you have the full radiance of the sun working, So that's really quite a beautiful thing.
It is. It is.
Yeah. The other way to think about this is, in pagan spirituality, there's the divine masculine and the divine feminine, like I said. Right now, the divine masculine is at his peak of power, or we're rapidly approaching that time. So when we think in terms of masculine energy, we do think in terms of radiance and action. This is the time to say, not only how am I radiating my life force energy, but what am I radiating it toward? Seeing my energy. Where do I want to put it? Because now is the time where I can really put the full power of that energy behind what it is that I'm going after.
Right.
Other times aren't equally, magical. They certainly can be. But when you're working with the radiance of the sun, I mean, how powerful the sun is. Right. So powerful we can't even look at him directly with our own eyes.
Exactly. Yes.
Light the way, right? And it's still that. So it begs the question, with our life force energy, with our radiance, where are we going to direct it and on what? I think in our era and how we're living right now, I was just talking about this in Gaia's Temple yesterday, wouldn't it be wonderful if we really decided we were going to get behind solar energy and we allowed that to be the source of energy instead of fossil fuels and moved forward and harnessed that.
Right.
And what a difference that would make in our world if we were to do that. Instead of being so short-sighted and just tracking the earth for something that's just not sustainable.
I know.
It seems to me.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. It's craziness.
It really is.
It's absolute madness.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the only thing you can say about it. I mean, it is.
It's so short-sighted.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So now we can't single-handedly change whether the world is going to shift to solar energy.
Right.
But we can think about, what ways can I use solar energy in my life? Everything from, is it time to buy a hybridized car or an electric car or something that gets me away from fossil fuels?
Right.
Maybe I decide on the summer solstice I'm going to take the bus instead of driving my car wherever I'm going. Maybe I'll do some research and find out what are those little solar panels on the top of the house and how much are they and is it possible to transfer to that and, just looking at different alternative energies. And more personally, where is your energy going? We can ask ourselves, where is my energy going?
Right.
And spending a lot of that energy on something that I don't want or I don't enjoy or is not serving me,
Right.
this is time to retract that energy and direct it someplace else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So some friends of mine on the summer solstice, we used to get up at the crack of dawn, actually before the crack of dawn.
Right.
Exactly. And in Seattle, Gasworks Park, and that big sun wheel that's up on the very top of that hill. And we would climb up there and we would watch the sunrise and then go have breakfast. And then we would return to that site as the sun was going down. So we would watch it going up over the Ship Canal Bridge, and we would watch it going down in the west over Queen Anne. And
how neat.
Just experience the length of day. And that was a very simple sort of ritual that you can do, but if you do it mindfully,
right.
It can be very, very powerful.
Exactly.
Another simple thing that we can do, and I know this seems so almost like whatever, but it's very, very powerful. It was powerful for me. I like to make sun tea on the summer.
What a great idea.
Which is, that is really utilizing the energy of the sun.
Absolutely.
To make your iced tea.
Yes.
Just create the tea with it. And then if you drink it in your circle or in your ceremony in a ritualized way, you are literally taking in and imbibing that sun's energy, which is really quite a beautiful thing.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So in our circles, what we often contemplate, because it is about that masculine energy and it is that radiance, we contemplate the masculine aspects of ourselves. So not only what we're being active about, but when I mean how are we radiating or what are we radiating, you know what it's like when you're around someone who is radiating love and goodness and care and compassion and help, as opposed to someone who's radiating that they're upset or they're in pain or they're angry or they're mean or, So a good thing to do on the summer solstice is to really just sort of check your own energetic.
Right.
What are you contributing to out there in the world? What are we putting out? Now, that doesn't mean that we're not going to feel our less than perfect feelings.
Right.
But how are we going to find healthy ways to process them?
Right.
It's just continuing to the bluff out there,
Right.
Don't contribute to the bluff.
And just because you're having a hard time in some way doesn't mean you can't still contact your own inner radiance and goodness and love and radiate that out. I'm sure the sun must have bad days, but he keeps shining.
He keeps shining. He might flare a little bit now and then, but he keeps shining. But then you can also think about, if radiance means, we know the sun has his own source of energy and he radiates that light out. The moon does not have her own light. She reflects, right? That's why that moon is so reflective and so numinous and mystical. But the sun is that source that radiates out constantly.
Right.
So we can also think of healthy ways to radiate what is not so happy or good within us, but they have to be healthy ways.
Right.
We are watching what's going on this planet now, and that toxic masculine is the problem.
Right. Exactly.
Ecologically, economically, globally, it's a problem. It's the wrong use of that sort of power.
Right.
Contemplating what is the right use of my power.
Right.
How can I radiate that? And if I am upset or something isn't going well, what is a healthy way to use that radiance to relieve myself without dumping on others?
Right.
That's a really good thing to be contemplating around the summer solstice. Yeah. Now, I'm an avid gardener, so of course at this time I am out there full tilt, tilt boogie out there in the garden. Everything's pretty much planted, although I did think of a few other things I want to add in. But now this is the tending time.
Right.
And it's also the season when growth is coming in really, really full and fast, and things are all in flower, which is just going to be more beautiful now with all the flowers everywhere.
Right.
The daffodils begin to decline, and the lilies and iris come up, and it's just gorgeous. My apple trees are loaded. They're little baby grapes on the grapevine. Seeing this go from flower to beginning to fruit. I had my first flower on my pumpkin vine the other day. It's very, very exciting. So when we tend to the earth in that way, and we look at how we can support and sustain what is growing, What does it need to keep growing in a beautiful, healthy way? That is another way that we can engage in the season. And then when we look at that in a spiritual context, we can see, what needs tending in my spirit.
Right.
Water the garden. How do I water my soul? And make sure it's fertilized and has all the nutrients it needs. Well, my soul in that way. That's equally as important.
It is. Yeah. Tending the garden of your soul is a nice term, nice phrase to use.
Yeah. Well, the other part of that is the wheel of the year, like I said, as that cyclical model for the passing of time, it's also about the life cycle, right? Look at the Sun King who was born at the winter solstice, right? He's like the seed that has just been born. And then in the spring it starts to grow. And then in the summer it comes to fruition. And then in the autumn it is harvested. And then in the winter there's death and decay. And the seeds of the next is in there. So when we follow the wheel of the year, we're also looking at that life cycle. Right. When we come to the summer solstice, which is the peak of that light, it is the height of the solar year. We can look at that as, when we go from like youth to young adulthood and we are invincible and the world is all ahead of us and we can make, how strong and vibrant we are at that time. Right. And so even though we get older, as we walk the year, the wheel year after year, we can still remember that time and try to, act as if, or utilize that energy like we did when we were young men and women who were coming into our power. How do we want to use that power? So it's all about action. In the winter months, I usually talk a lot about rest and reflection and dreaming for the future. But now is the time, whatever those dreams were 6 moons ago, now's the time to be going for it.
Get busy and do it. Yeah, get active.
And do it, yeah.
Use the energy that's there to engage whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish and do and become. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's easier to do when the sun is out, right? I mean, in the winter we want to start crawling into bed at 8 o'clock at night.
That's right.
11 o'clock before we know it. So the sun actually helps us.
Right.
Physiologically to be able to sustain that as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to be having a celebration locally for people who might want to participate?
Yes, absolutely. Gaia's Temple is holding our Litha Sabbath. Oh, so that's what I wanted to mention also. The points on the Wheel of the Year are taken from the Celtic culture, and the summer solstice is called Litha. It's like it's spelled Litha, and it's pronounced like Lisa with a lip. It's Litha. And it's, so we are having our Litha celebration where we will be honoring the Sun King and the divine masculine in all its exalted, beautiful expression, hoping to help turn this wheel around a little bit. And that is going to be right on the summer solstice proper, which this year is Thursday, June 21st. We're meeting at 7 p.m. At the Meridian Park, which is right behind the Good Shepherd Center in Wallingford in Seattle. And we have a potluck celebration afterwards, so we always, have a great time circling up, setting intentions. We have a beautiful meditation. We're still in the planning works, but we raise beautiful energy and we direct it toward our highest good and our highest goals in alignment with this time of year. And then we have a wonderful potluck celebration, so it's lovely. And a lot of people come who have never come before or who don't know anyone, and they're feeling like they found their community or they've met a friend. So even if you're on your own, don't be afraid to show up.
Don't be shy.
Yeah.
You're welcomed.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you have a book. I always like to mention your book and your website.
Thank you. So, I was just going to say on the website, GaiasTemple.org. You can go to the events page and you can find out all the information about the summer solstice.
Great.
And yes, thank you for bringing up my book. So my book is called Along the Wheel of Time, Sacred Stories for Nature Lovers. And it's a collection of 8 short stories that accompany these points on the Wheel of the Year. And they depict just everyday people living their sort of magical lives according to the seasons. Right. So the Litha celebration is quite the story. It's a little sexy too. So it's a little sexy. there's a good one there too. But it also just talks about the great union of the goddess and God, which brings blessedness to life, and that is such a lovely theme, So you can certainly read that, and that's available on Amazon or Goodreads. I think you can buy it on your Kindle, I believe, too. So.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for all the great information and inspiration you always bring to our time together. I really enjoy it, and I encourage our viewers to check out more about you and Gaia's Temple and read your book. And now we'll be together again for, I forget which the next holiday is.
It's called Lunasa, or some people pronounce it Lunasa, and that is August 1st.
Oh, okay.
So that's 6 weeks from now, approximately 6 weeks from now. And we'll talk about that. That'll be the beginning of the first harvest celebration on the wheel.
Awesome.
And yeah. So we'll talk more about that. Thank you so much, Krista. I really enjoy these.
Great. I do too. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks so much.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.